Hello again, everybody, and thanks for joining me for Third Act Stories. You know, in our 60s, we enjoyed things in the 60s, 1960s, I mean. And one of the funnest things that I had when I was a kid in the 1960s was an AMT Star Trek model kit. My dad had built it for me, and it was really a fun, great memory for me. And in recent years, I've rebuilt it. And I think a lot of y'all are interested in that sort of thing. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about the model kit videos that I've put out. So I figured I'd put some more out and let y'all enjoy with me. So this is it. The AMT U.S.S. Enterprise. This is the first model kit that ever was built for me. Actually, my dad built this for me when I was just a little kid, probably 4 or 5 years old. He actually built this for me before I got a chance to see an episode of the actual Star Trek. And I've found as I've been doing these reviews of these model kits that I've got and all these nostalgic things that this reminds me of my dad. I think that's a connection I've got with these things. When I was, again, a little kid, he would put these things together for me after dinner. They were usually model kits of things that I didn't have a toy option. He couldn't go down to the store and buy a toy of them, so he bought a model kit. He'd put it together for me. And it was a chance for my dad and I to connect. And it just was like anything, you look back on it and it's magical. And, since my parents have passed, this is just a way for me to continue to feel like they're still there. One of the nice things about this kit was that it had clear or amber colored nacelle caps and a little cap on the bottom and the top that would light up. And what you did is you put a battery in it. Now I've put a new base on it with some lights to kind of simulate the box lighting. But you would turn the radar dish on the front and engage the battery, and this thing would light up. Now, I've painted this to simulate the box art and simulate the way my dad had done it, but I've light blocked it, so it doesn't completely light up. But when I was a little kid, I'd take this thing in my room, I'd turn the lights off and turn this thing on, and the whole thing would glow. It would glow from the plastic inside out. And it was a fascinating shape to me. If you think back on this was a very unique shape. You either had rocket ships or you had flying saucers or something like that. I never could figure out what this was. I would look at this endlessly and go, wow, that looks like it's doors. Maybe something goes in there, a little spaceship or something, which turns out is the truth. And it's got some kind of Art Deco curves on it. Curves, and it's just really a great industrial design. And as a kid, it was just magical. Now, this is actually one of the original kits painted up and lit. You may ask, how did I get the nacelles not to droop? Well, they probably droop a little bit, but I put plumber's putty all down the spine of this thing once it was set the way I wanted it. And that plumber's putty dries to a rock-hard substance, and it'll keep all this tight, hopefully, for years to come. This thing originally came in this box. This is actually a reproduction box, but I've got the original box for this thing, and it's kind of a mess. But as you see, it was painted this way, and that's the way my dad saw it, so that's the way my dad painted it. So this model kit, this is an intact version of the kit that I built. And again, everything's here. Actually have all the little wiring. I don't know if that came with it. Maybe it did. But these little seed lamps that you put in there and the batteries ran them, they would get super hot. And scorch your fingers if you touch them. This is what those nacelle caps look like when they originally came. They're like kind of an orange color. They're translucent, but it was just you know, awesome. You can see here where the battery fit. It was like a AA battery, I think, and you twisted the nacelle cap and it would come on. It stood on a stand very much like this one, and I think it actually had an on-off switch for it. This kind of went like that. And a couple of the things that were different about this kit than later kits is the radar dish was a little bit bigger. And also this radar housing was kind of stair-stepped and had a taper to it. The newer ones, this whole secondary hull has been recast and redesigned, and it's not nearly as interesting visually as the original kit was. Here's the original instructions. Oh, and the original decals, or decals, as the Europeans say that. But anyway, you know, it was just a lot of fun. You know, when we were kids, you really didn't have access to a lot of things. Nowadays, you know, kids don't really care about stuff like this, I don't think. They've got everything on their phone. But when I was a kid, we didn't have phones. We didn't have color TV. We didn't even have, nothing. We didn't have cars. We didn't have nothing. We always had to ride in horses and walk down the street in the snow with our hair and our clothes. Kids today, what do they know? So thanks again for taking a look at one of these model kits. You know, in our 60s, we think back on the way our lives were and how simple things were and how exciting they were in the space age and with all the great stuff that was on television. And it's okay to look back at that stuff and enjoy it. It gives you a sense of, you know, a simpler time, but a more adventurous time. Be sure and join me again on Third Act Stories, and hopefully we'll talk about something other than model kits, but y'all seem to like it, and I want to, you know, give you what you want. So I probably will show a few more of these model kits as the days go by.